Hi guys, welcome to the Webster Report. Before I introduce Jimmy and our guest tonight, I just thought I'd just, give a little butter up about what we're going to be talking about, in the fact that there's something. This is just hang on a sec. I'm getting feedback here. That's better. We've just decided that we'd do this show tonight because there's just so much happening, and we've got to start talking about this, whether we like it or not. There's something not right about what's going on here. So, without further ado, I'll introduce James. Jimmy, how are we doing, son?
All right, Webby, mate. Thanks for having me.
No, sorry. Anytime, mate. This is it's not just a local thing, this, but it's something that's got to be talked about. We've got to start talking about things other than party politics. We've got to start thinking that could be something bigger that's coming here. So what any points that has struck you? I know we're going to talk about quite a bit anyway, but is anything that struck your bell today?
Well, there's been a lot more deaths. I don't know how many deaths they've been recorded today. Now it's gone up by a couple of hundred, has it? So
yeah, I believe so. Yeah,
I've been seeing photographs of people still going out in the supermarkets and stuff in London as though nothing's happening.
I seen this morning they were queuing outside Goulburn Asda. They were queuing outside Lee Tesco's, and they're meant to do the NHS hour, and the NHSs couldn't even get in and get served because of the amount of queues that were there.
They're telling people not to hoard, so I've not hoarded. So and then so I have to go maybe shopping at least twice a week for get stuff normally. My normal routine, I would have gone shopping at least 2 or 3 times a week during the week and just picking up stuff for a couple of meals and stuff. So but now what you're supposed to do, hoard stuff, so you only need to go like once a week or like one big shop or do I don't know. I don't really understand, and I don't think they're going across exactly how we're supposed to go about it.
I don't think they've even thought that far ahead. I think they're quite happy to see what's going on, Jim, to be fair. I think they're quite happy to see people disregarding, because it gives them that platform to say, you're being dickheads. You're causing all these issues for all these other people. You're gonna spread this virus left, right, and centre. And to be fair, they've got a point with that. They've definitely got a point with what's going on, but obviously I'm always looking at the bigger picture, Jim. So we'll probably break that down and get into that in a bit. But for now, I'll just introduce our other guest, which is Clarkey. I'd like to welcome you to the Webster Report. It's the first time you've been on the show.
Nice one, mate.
Before we get into any of the stuff that's going on, I want you to tell us a bit about yourself. Tell us about your work, because obviously we are going to be talking about a documentary that you're looking to put together.
Yeah,
you've been doing this stuff for a long time. You're not only a talented artist, but you do videos. And well, you tell us what you do with your videos, pal.
Well, I like to think I make people class it as urban exploration, but I want to branch out a bit further than that. But I prefer the term like historical documentarian, if you will, just recording it before it's gone for good and give people a good few memories and whatnot. And just so it's there for future generations, because your local councils and whatnot, once, like the old boozer on the corner, once it's gone and been left derelict, it's forgotten for good, man. So we get
when you did the Bottom Bridge. When you did the Bridgewater Arms in Lee, I had photographs. My auntie and uncle owned that pub in the late 60s, early 70s. Right. And when you filmed some of the photographs that you took, you merged some of the photographs that I had.
Yeah,
photographs of a derelict bar, and then it faded to where my mum would be sat there holding a glass up in almost the exact same place.
Oh, wow, yeah.
It was really to see that, because I can always envisage it, but I love it when a documentary can take a picture of what there's left and all of a sudden virtually superimposed what was there.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I
it's
love
like when we had the old sound effects as well. People tell me like, I'll walk in, for example, the old booze is what we've done.
yeah.
I'll just walk into the old bar area and you'll hear the hustle and bustle of the punters, and then, an old reggae tune will kick in on the old burnt out speaker. And, I think the sound with these videos is the fundamental thing that, if you get the sound wrong on it, then no one's going to keep watching it, man. I mean, people seem to be attracted to the way that I commentate on the videos and that. And I never, when I started doing it, I didn't even think anyone would even like it, man. So here I am 2 years later, and it's going strong.
So when we talked about this, God, it must be at least a year, if not a bit longer ago.
Yep.
When we were talking about when we had that meet up and we were discussing all what I had been doing and my information. Now,
well, as long as we were able to, with the amount of alcohol consumed.
Oh yeah, it must be. Hey, no, that must be about 3-4 years ago. Then that
was it? Wow.
Yeah, it must be pushing 3 years. That
don't seem like that long, does it?
No, it doesn't. But time flies.
Yeah, I have got a bit balder in the meantime, so you're probably right.
So have I, mate. So have I. But something you contacted me maybe a few days ago because you have been not off the scene, but you've taken kind of a back seat because you've had personal issues and shit going on, like we all have. But all of a sudden, you got in touch with me. What was that trigger? What sparked you to decide that it's time to do this documentary?
Well, we always spoke about, the way. Well, I don't know the ins and outs of the system and whatnot and the powers that be and all that business. And, nobody can live in society today and not think to themselves, something's a bit fishy, man, when it comes to, I don't know, man. I mean, we call it the 1%, don't you, control basically the government, what you're seeing on the TV, that's like the movie being played out in it, they're the puppets, if you will, for the 1%. And, it's plainly obvious when you see OAP still breaking the back at 70-odd-year-old. We're being run down, man. And like you were saying a minute ago with the outbreak of this virus, it's come on so fast, and the information overload what's out there, it's just people just don't know what to think, and it's putting us into a state of panic, man. I mean, I know people who are wretching their guts up with anxiety. With OAPs, nobody knows what to do. Nobody knows what to think. And they're all still just out and about, willy-nilly in the parks, all this business. But that's what they want, so they can impose the next level of, I mean, what do you call it? I don't know. I mean, there's going to be lockdown. I reckon full lockdown is imminent. And to do this, I'm not saying that a virus doesn't exist. But we've had viruses in the past, man, and they've never done this, have they? I mean, come on. And there's worse viruses out there, even now. So it's just, I can smell a big dirty ass rat, man, no question about it.
Yeah, to be fair, the statistics that I've seen compared to this virus and the other viruses that that people are dying from, there shouldn't be this massive thing about it.
No,
there really shouldn't. But the media has taken this, and there's enough happening. I mean, I'm sick of seeing Facebook posts where people are asking, "Does anybody know anybody who's got coronavirus?"
Yeah.
From what I've seen, and anybody can come on and tell me I'm wrong, but because I'm still trying to look for the truth, I've only got the questions about this, but they are saying that the tests that they can do will tell that you've got a virus of corona or flu-like virus. It will not tell you you've got COVID-19. It cannot state that. There is not a test to state that. Now,
what about introducing these digital tests, or I mean,
yeah, but how many people are carrying this virus around and dying of other things?
Well, exactly. It's funny how.
My question was, how many of these people that are dying with, you know, they're being told it's corona? How many are in the age groups of the elderly? How many have had the flu jab?
Well, what you've got to look at, Paul, is how many of the people who are dying are the ones who are. I mean, I know it sounds horrible for me to say it, but it's made me think. But it's kind of. I mean, I suppose viruses do prey on weaker people and whatnot, but it's a bit extreme. You know, it's taking out all the elderly and, you know, people with lowered immune systems and whatnot. And I don't know, man. It's just. I've never come across anything like this in my lifetime, and it just seems a bit something fishy's going on. I can't put my finger on it, you know. And none of us can, I don't think, really, can we? Is
that cat going to attack you, Jim?
She's been trying to get past me for the last 5 minutes. I kept pushing away, but she finally got round the back.
Could you see having a look?
Mowing around here,
yeah, she's just giving you a dirty look there, mate.
Yeah, we're trying to get on the perks.
So, like me and Clarkey have just been saying there, then Jim, it's how do we look at this now? Because I can't believe the mainstream media. I can't, because they've told me lies all my life, and they're giving me a lot of statistics and a lot of rhetoric. How do we start trying to look through this? Because I mean, again, I'd say, Jim, with your analytical mind, if you had the time, you would start joining more dots, because that's what you've always said, that, you know, well, I don't know about that. So you don't necessarily have that and have a set opinion on something. If you get more information, you're open to go, oh, wait, hang on a minute. So what would you say?
Well, I can understand where you're coming from, because we get lied to so many times about things like, for example, the Iraq war and all the lies they told us to get into war and things like that. Exactly. We've become so cynical that maybe it's a case of the boy who cried wolf. They tell us so many lies, and then when there's a real event that we should be worried about, we don't believe them. Maybe that's got something to do with it, because I was very sceptical at first, and then I've started to take it a lot more seriously, because everybody else around me seems to be taking it serious as well. So I mean,
that's what happens though when it's pushed upon you like that. I think it's an extreme amount of. I call it fear-mongering. I do. That's what I truly believe. You know, I think it's extreme.
It's gaslighting. The gaslighting people into maybe not a belief system, but certainly a path of looking at stuff. I mean, I was seeing something today called Event 201. I don't know if you've seen this, but this was a simulation that they did about the coronavirus, about a virus being released, and they were sat around a table doing all these things, exactly like what happened with 7/7 when they were talking about when they did the simulation there. So Mike Pompeo actually even said, whether it was a choice of words, I mean, you could take this either way, but he said it was a live exercise. Now, something could go live, I suppose, and you could say it's in an exercise and you're live, but
well, this could be an exercise for all we know, because I've never known anything this extreme in my lifetime.
Well, Peter Power on the day of 7/7, Peter Power with his Visor Consultants Agency, they were doing a full-scale security and safety plan involving thousands of emergency workers, detailing bombs on the exact same train stations at the exact same times in their simulation as it was happening live. And they said they had to go from quick time thinking to real time doing. Now, that was another drill gone live. We're talking about another drill here, and the media is shooting all this rhetoric left, right, and centre. And it's like Jimmy just said then, I've got to be sceptical about these bastards. I have to. Have you seen anything about that event? Yeah. Have you seen that about the Event 201, Jason? You'll have to unmute yourself, mate.
Hiya, mate. How you doing? All right. Hello.
All right, mate. All right, man.
Are you talking about the thing that happened in December?
The simulation.
One thing I wanted to pull you up on, which I pull everybody up on, and that is Peter Power, Visor Consultants. He didn't say that there were 1,000 people there. He said that it was a company of 1,000 people, so it could have just been 4 or 5 executives or security or something. But I just wanted to, that's just me being pedantic. I think you were talking earlier on about lockdown. I'd expect it tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
It's very unusual. All the updates have usually been at 5 o'clock. You know, when everyone's finished work, everyone's probably listening to it on the radio on the way home from work and stuff. But but 7 a.m. I mean, that's an unusual time. That's before everybody goes to work. So they're going to announce a lockdown. I would imagine they're probably doing, putting things into place now for for government staff and people to be out on the streets. It's going to be like in France. I think they were a place in France where you needed papers. You were told, they wanted to see your papers to make sure that you were out on the street. So
well, they did that in China, didn't they?
Yeah, they did.
They were like scanning people digitally, checking the temperatures and all this business. And
yeah, they were.
I mean, having said that, though, the only thing we know about China is what we get on the mainstream news, man, because they have a different internet. They have, there is no real contact with anyone from China unless you personally know someone, And I don't know, man. This is leading to something bigger in the long run, and I reckon we're gonna see a lot of freedoms taken away and a lot of new laws passed in the next couple of months.
Well, there's a lot of legislation already been passed, and I've been waiting for it to strike over here. Obviously, China are already doing it, but they're on about cash. Cash is going to go.
Digital currency.
Yeah, you've already got shops saying Friday was their final day to take cash, and this is what they've always wanted.
I've seen it myself, mate. Everyone's asking for card, aren't they?
Yeah, and this is because of this virus. That when you look at the statistics that I've seen today, it's no bigger than SARS. It's no bigger. I mean, I think there was 2,200 people. No, I think last year, I can't remember the statistics. It's a guy called Dr. Andy Kaufman who gave statistics, and he even said, I can't give the direct statistics. He said, but there's about 750,000 people per year die from pharmaceutical drugs being taken as prescribed. Why have we not shut the country down? Why have we not done things over this? Why, when we're losing people over flu,
cancer,
it's because it's this new thing, and the media's ran with it, and the people don't understand it. I don't understand it. I just know that known liars are telling me to do things that are going to end up with things being taken off me. And
it's like George Carlin said. There's a big club, and we ain't in it. And at the end of it, there's a bigger picture, and we're all about to have some shocking life changes very, very soon. Well, I mean, we already are, but something's coming, and it's going to change the way we live. Full stop.
I noticed the rhetoric though that's on the TV. In our region. I can't remember whether it were BBC, but I usually keep away from news because I don't know what it's doing to people that watch it all the time, or normal people, people that don't understand what's going on. I don't know what it's going to do to them, because I watch about 5 or 10 minutes of mainstream news, and I'm sat there like a gibbering wreck. But today there was a particular report that they got, and it was from a place called Eyam in Derbyshire. Now, Eyam, E-Y-A-M, I think it's called. Now, it's famous because
the plague place.
Yes, that's it. When the plague, they got the plague in Eyam, and they isolated the village for an entire year to save everyone else. And they were doing a report from there. And like, you're thinking to yourself, so now that they're equating it to the plague, for God's sake.
They're associating, aren't they, in people's minds?
It's just utter fear-mongering at the highest level, isn't it, man?
They're giving you a time scale even. They're even giving you a time scale. They did it for a year. They're giving you a time scale in there, so that's in your head. So you're thinking to yourself, I'm probably going to have to do this for a year. I'm not going to be able to go out or do this.
Well, they're pre-programming us just to fall into line, aren't we? It's like, when you watch 9/11, How many movies did you see before that featured the exact shots of the trade centres that were shown on the news, man? They pre-program us so that when it does play out, we kind of just fall into place and accept it. And it's scary. But like you said about the news, you know, I watched the news for 5 minutes and I almost had a massive panic attack. You know what I mean? It's like it makes you feel, man. So I feel sorry for all the OAPs out there who are just locked in there now, and they're probably trembling in fear.
Probably are, yeah, and that's something as well that's going to take some undoing. You know, when this is over, that's going to take some undoing. So you're going to have people who are older who's going to see that they've got, you know, that this is what's going to happen, and I've got no future, and they're going to sit there and they're going to lose all hope. We need communities to start coming together and realizing. But again, we probably, if we said let's have a meeting at our local village hall, you know, all local folk come across, we'll probably get arrested. Everybody
you can't congregate at the town hall, mate. Got corona everywhere.
We can congregate on YouTube instead, mate.
Well, that's it. We're being pushed into this digital landscape, aren't we? You know, it's like the Matrix. You know, it's what a saying I heard is the Matrix was literally a documentary about your future. You know, and we're all getting pushed into that. Look at all the teens these days, man. You know, they're all just taking selfies with pouting the lips, looking like fish, and it's not the childhood I had when I grew up, man. I was climbing trees, man. You know, scraping my kneecaps and whatnot, and we're being slowly but surely imprisoned to technology, man.
But I think a lot of it's self-imprisonment, and you know. I mean, we all give our details away when we use our phones. We all know we're doing it, but we still do it.
Oh, mate, we're all screwballed. If they wanted to push a button and, you know, if they have these drones and whatnot, you know, but if these could, I'm not saying this is the future, don't get me wrong, you know, I'm not thinking Terminator scenarios or anything, but, you know, almost every single person on the face of the planet is digitally tracked, man. They know where we are, they know our family lifestyles, they know the layout of our living rooms if you're stupid enough to put all your pictures on Facebook and all that business, you know,
or on YouTube.
Yeah, well, exactly.
China's definitely got China's definitely got the model for the credit system and the facial recognition. That's what they're all clambering for.
I've seen a thing about it, and it literally can scan a face from miles out, man. And, you know, the detail that these things pick up, it's ridiculous. If you're already on the system, it'll clock your face, and within a millisecond, it knows exactly who you are, where you live, and everything, you know.
And your face is on the 200-foot screen telling everybody else around you what your credit rating is or what you're shit about. And, you know, they've got people who've actually got jobs who walk round and they'll see somebody do a good deed, so they'll go over and ask them for their information because we're going to award you some credits for helping that old lady with her bags.
Sorry, can I just give you some breaking news?
Go ahead.
My wife's son works at McDonald's, and he's just sent a thing that they've all been sent. We have taken the difficult decision to close all McDonald's restaurants in the UK and Ireland by 7 p.m. on Monday, the 23rd of March at the latest. This is not a decision we are taking lightly, but one made with well-being and safety of our employees in mind, as well as the best interests of our customers. We will work with the local community groups responsible to distribute food and drink from our restaurants in the coming days. Thank you to our brilliant employees for all their hard work during this incredibly challenging time. So there you go. McDonald's is going to be closing by 7 o'clock tomorrow night at the latest. And that's the key in it. They're expecting total lockdown before then because they said 7 p.m. at the latest.
No question about it. No question about it. That is, if Macca's is shutting down, something's definitely going on in it,
See, the articles I saw today was that McDonald's was going to be the company that were going to stay open because they were going to have the drive-through, so they could still serve. and they could deliver through Uber or whatever. But you're
Well,
saying
that's what I
heard
heard that, Paul. I heard that they're gonna lock everything down and actually distribute food to us in some kind of rationing system or something like that. You know, I don't know, man. But I've been hearing bits and bats about people seeing army convoys all over the country and that, but I don't particularly know a single person who's actually seen one personally.
No,
and I know
I've not
quite
seen
a few
anything
people,
that I
you
could
know.
say is I've not been able to say I've seen anything that I can, put me hat on or put my finger on. Not at all. There's a few pictures where they've shown army convoys and they're on
Opposite side of road.
Yeah. So I mean, there's a lot of people who are fear mongering. I've no doubt about that. I mean, I've been accused myself of posting articles that are going to cause fear, but I can't keep pulling punches with this. This is all going on, and if you're just looking at the mainstream, I think the mainstream are the ones that are pushing the doom and gloom more than anything. I mean, in fact, some of the articles that I'm posting is actually giving hope to people.
Well, you notice when Boris Johnson comes on doing his speech or whatever, the first person he goes to is the BBC or Sky News, isn't it, or something?
Always has, yeah.
There's never any, random, why don't they invite somebody who's just got their own YouTube channel down and ask them questions or whatever? You never see that. But you're not going to.
No. I'm surprised they're still having press conferences, if I'm honest. It was supposed to be isolating while they're still having all these press conferences with journalists there.
Well, they're all sat 2 meters apart now, if you don't notice.
Well, I've not I didn't notice.
They put tape down on the floors in McDonald's and certain restaurants so that they're like chevrons on a motorway.
They've done it now.
I just can't believe this social distancing, another rhetoric, social distancing, self-isolating. I was saying to Jimmy the other night that in my lifetime, nothing like this has ever occurred. So it's all brand new. I could at least have asked me nan or something like that when the war was going on, what happened with that. But we didn't even seem to have these lockdowns in pubs and stuff like that during the war. Now, all right, we're talking about alleged virus that's spreading like wildfire. Yet I'm seeing virologists stating that the only way you would get a virus inside you is if we injected it into you.
I've heard all that, and it can't be passed by certain means. I mean, I don't know. I'm no scientist or anything, but I've also heard it's down to us being bombarded with chemicals or metal-based toxins. And our immune system is trying to fight it.
Yeah, it seems that the way I took it was that you get a load of toxins in your body, and your body needs to get rid of those toxins, and your body creates that virus, that medium, that solvent, to flush it out.
Yeah, exactly.
And it makes sense. And then you look at the mainstream and what they're all saying, and then all of a sudden, you don't make sense when you're telling it. Yet virologists are saying this. What am I meant to do when somebody with letters after his name, who isn't being put down as debunked or anything like that, because there's not just him, there's more virologists stating that there's a panic going on and it's being exasperated. And I feel sorry for the people, because most of the people, I mean, for God's sake, I've been going on about banks not lending money for 10 years, and that's even still hard for people to understand. So how are you going to get on to this now? They just think everybody's going to die. And that's the rhetoric that's being pushed, because if you don't do this, 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 and this, you're all going to die.
I don't think that's the rhetoric that's being pushed, mate, personally. I think the rhetoric being pushed is, if you don't do this, your granny might die.
Fair enough.
Yeah, but the bigger picture, we're being herded into a particular position where whatever the new laws or powers are going to impose, the people who are, legitimately terrified are just going to accept it with no questions asked. There's a lot of people out there who, if they released a mandatory vaccine tomorrow, they'd be straight in the line for it, man.
Mate, there's many people already calling for army on the streets because people aren't adhering to this. self-isolating stuff. You've got to be careful what you wish for. You wish an army on the street. We've just been talking. Jason was on about the French bit having papers. That is virtually full martial law, and people don't even understand that we've been under martial law for hundreds of years as it is. All our commerce goes through military courts. The UCC it's military. This is why you can't fuck about in business and commerce unless you actually run the business and commerce.
That report I was telling you about earlier on, which was based in Nîmes. Now there was a counsellor. They were following this woman, a counsellor, about, right. And bear in mind, this is a lovely village in Derbyshire, and it's Mother's Day, so there's a lot of people just going for a walk with their mothers. You know, they can't go to pubs and have the dinners that they're probably booked for months and months. You know, and so they're having a walk. She's going and saying, "Can you not come? Can you go home and not come?" This is a council for that area. Can you go home and not come? And this one bloke said, "I came in to support the shops, or the ones that are open at least, anyway." And she said, "Well, just come back when it's all. This is all over." And he says, "I'm not coming back here. I'll not come back here again." Yeah, we're just completely ridiculous. This is a councillor woman, and she's telling people to get out of a village. It was like, "Get off my land." You know, you're spreading.
Do you guys not think it's as serious as they say? Because I do, if I'm honest. I'm
not gonna take any risks, put it that way. But I don't know. I mean,
I don't, and I'll tell you for why. They're not going to release this. We know this is man-made, whatever it is, whatever's been released. If there has been something released, they're not going to release something that's going to kill them as well.
This is a biochemical culling device, man. You know, I've been going down the rabbit hole for a long time, and a couple of years back, I was off my rocker with conspiracy theories. But when you get rid of all the excess, there is a pattern, and you know we're being led into something. You know.
Well, the difference, Clarkey, with me and Webby is Webby sees everything as, and you maybe think the same way. It's like everything that happens is for reasons to make them get more and more control over us. Where I look at it from the angle, they've already got all this control over us, and this virus terrifies them because it's causing disorder in their little cozy world.
Well, if you even, you know, I never thought about it like that, but I mean, there's a strong possibility of that, isn't there? You know, we just don't know. And
now they're all panicking on the stock markets. If you're making
the economy's going to crash, mate. That's what I'm saying.
This is where I'm going. I mean, if you're making billions every year because of the system, the way it's going, you're not going to want to rock that boat. You're going to try and keep that system going because it's in your benefit. And this virus, to me, has thrown them all in a panic because look at the measures they're on about bringing in now. Donald Trump now in America, he's talking about going full on like socialist measures, basically further left than Bernie Sanders. It's not about giving £1,000 checks to everybody so they can.
Yeah, I heard that.
So you know, and the problem is debt. Too much debt in the system. That's the biggest problem in the economic system. It's all based on debt. So giving people money at the bottom, that's a very socialistic thing to do, really. You're giving people real money. If you literally print money and you're giving money to people at the bottom of the chain, that money's going into the economy. And when all these IOUs get destroyed, because what they should do in theory, the stock market, when it starts crashing and all them numbers are going down, 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 there's nothing being destroyed in the physical world. Like, the factories are still there, the cars are still there, the machinery is still there, the people are still there, everything's still there apart from digits in a computer, yeah, and they're all IOUs disappearing and they're panicking. And when the banks come for a bailout, they basically they realise their IOUs are not going to get paid, so they give that shit to the government and they give them money for it, basically, don't they? That's how it works. So and they're terrified it's going to fall apart because you know the whole system. Hopefully this will make people realise how the system works, the money system. Because there's
a lot of people that really are blind to it. You know, it's extreme.
I don't think they're going to get a chance, Jim. I think this is their opportunity for a complete economic reset. I think you could be looking at losing everything, as in cash wise, and going all into digital, whatever platform they decide to bring through. But whatever is going to happen, I mean, direct debit's going to bounce left, right, and fucking centre this week. You know, there's things.
I think there's definitely going to have to be some kind of reset. If they don't try and reset the system in favour of the people at the bottom, there's going to be massive civil unrest, I think, after this virus.
What we're coming up to as well, we're coming up to the pay time, aren't we? We're coming up to pay week. It's about a week away when everyone gets paid. Now imagine the banking system goes down, and there's the banks should suddenly have a bank holiday, and
before the tax year.
Exactly, and people can't get paid. You know, and governments aren't paying. You know, jobs aren't paying. People aren't going to get paid. It's just going to be. I saw the first sign of it. I know David Icke always says this, and I've never watched the Hunger Games, but I can imagine what it's about. And
he says a lot of stuff that's pretty viable, but he also says a lot of stuff that's a bit.
I know, but the Hunger Games society that he's talking about, I saw a first sign of it where I saw a tweet that somebody had posted where they'd said, I applied to Tesco's at 7 o'clock. At 10 o'clock, I got a call from them asking if I could come in tomorrow for work. Right. So like we're getting this. We're going to start getting this where these are going to be the only jobs that are available, and people are going to become. You know, people live hand to mouth. They do.
Yeah, but are you talking about like the corporate superstores? They're the only jobs we're going to get. Because with what's going on now, all these small businesses, I mean, you know, like what I do, Paul, visiting the derelict buildings. I mean, when all this is passed over and we are allowed, you know, if we're going to be allowed, well, I'm going to have a field day, aren't I? You know?
Yeah, there's going to be more businesses.
You know, there's going to be a lot of sorrow in the air, isn't there, after this?
There'll be more small businesses go bust than people die from this virus. The businesses are going to be wiped out.
Well. Yeah, I've got a relative, right, who lives down south. Has got a lovely house, nice big gardens, does well. Got a number of Clark's franchise, you know, the shoe shops.
Yeah,
got a number of franchises in the southeast, you know. So got a few, Bob. Anyway, they've had to close down completely, and she's talking about. She's on social media and she's really worried because obviously they're going to have massive mortgage payments for the house that they've got and what have you. And I thought to myself, we've been saying this that it's going to get real when they start hitting people. You know, the young people that have got their own business.
It's already hitting me and my family because my daughter, two of my daughters work in the pub, local pub. One worked full time, one was part time. They've both lost their jobs. My daughter who worked full time, she's got rent to pay. My next door neighbour's just been laid off by Virgin Airlines indefinitely. He's living in a rented house, so you know, I've already seen knock-on effects in the economy now. Just round me.
That's what me and Jason always said, that especially with the stuff that I was doing, nobody was interested in gas, water, and electric being free because everybody was just getting along and, you know, paying the bills and making sure that they paid all those bills to get to the end of the week so they could have that bottle of wine and get pissed all weekend and then get ready to start all over again Monday. But this stuff, if they're going to come back, I mean, they're talking about mortgage holidays. A holiday still needs to be paid. It still needs to be paid. And at the end of the day, I know what they did in 2008 with that property grab. When they went after the property grab in Ireland, and you had mortgages going from $350 a month to $1,300 a month overnight because of that shit. And it's not until they come and knock on your door that anybody will do anything. And you know, like you just said, maybe it's going to be that starts to wake people up because they're not going to be able to promise to pay for that bill. They're going to have to find another route, and there's a perfectly legal, lawful route that they supply for you. But you've got to learn how. You've got to learn how to question it. When there's enough of us, it'll be so easy because I'm convinced it's as simple as putting your name, signing it and dating it and giving it them back. They're meant to then set off your debt, reducing the national debt. It seems so simple, but what is coming from this, if there is a reset, what are they going to do? Because they've got a lot of commerce wrapped up. They can't just get rid of everything and start again. They'll destroy all their own commerce. So there's a lot of intricate times coming. And if they are worried about being exposed, then the best thing to do is to lock us all down and control us. what that means to as a cull. I mean, 98% of the people who are in Italy seem to all be either elderly or underlying medical issues and things like that. Again, I still want to know about how many had the flu jab. Is this flu jab, like Jason mentioned the other night, a precursor?
Well, it's hit Iran like wildfire, funnily enough, isn't it?
Yeah, and they're talking about, is this flu jab either a precursor or a catalyst for something to exasperate? You know, people are bringing 5G into that. We know that our bodies are affected with frequencies, and we know that 5G operates in certain frequencies, and that does affect us biologically. We've seen it from even back in the 90s when they had massive, I forget what they're called, but they were like massive square drills that they just point at crowds, and the crowds would just get out of the way because they felt like they were on fire.
Well, there's been loads of experiments like that over the years. I heard of one experiment somewhere in America where it rendered an entire town infertile over the period of a few months. I don't know if you've heard about that one.
No.
But you heard about all these chemtrails and whatnot, and as soon as you mention that, like, people are like, right, I'm out of this conversation. You know, they think you're off your rocker. But I mean, I must admit, since I heard about it, and I have looked up in the sky, there's an extreme amount of people going on holiday, man. You know what I mean?
Well, now they're talking about geoengineering to dim the sun. They are actually talking about dimming the sun, and that's mainstream.
Been around for years. Global dimming has been around for years. That concept has been around for years and years.
Of course, but it's now mainstream that's what they're going to do, even though we know that.
Well, these chemical trails contain barium, don't they? And I'm wondering, you know, if the 5G affects that in some kind of way, because what the 5G is doing is it affects the particles in the oxygen and stops the hemoglobin in your blood from taking it around your body and whatnot. So
it separates the oxygen from the blood. Yeah, exactly. We don't know, but to ask that question and be called a dickhead or a conspiracy theorist, you've got to be fucking tapped yourself, because look at the state of the world.
I couldn't have put it better myself.
Look at the state of the world, and you think I'm a nutter?
I know. Oh man. No, it's like, but this is it, mate. You know, all this is going down now, and people are still paying the goddamn TV licenses, mate. You know, people won't be told, and they won't get it in their head until the army are patrolling the streets, man. You know, that's as extreme as it's going to become. And
I wonder how many are calling for that, though, because people want the army, and I can't see them if it becomes unrest, if it becomes civil unrest, that if they put the army on the street, I can't see them using British troops. It will be UN. It'll be Bosnian or somebody like I think a British troop would hesitate opening fire on another Brit, whereas foreign troops would just go into the mode and just do the job. Maybe some Brit troops would as well. I wouldn't like to say, because
it's a scary thought, isn't it, mate?
But people are known in the armed services. You know, these people are broken down. You know, all the character is broken out of them, and then they build the soldier. So they virtually destroy the man and build a soldier.
Oh wow!
Now, the people who I've spoken to, I said, "Have you never been worried that, you know, you get yourself into a certain situation where stress levels get so bad that, you know, you just flip back into your fucking soldier mode?" And he said, "Well, it's quite easy to do." He says, "But we are taught to control that." Well, that is if you've not had PTSD and you've been in war zones.
Well, did you see the video I put out the other day of what my mate Gary recorded? He's got his own exploring, page where he takes photographs and whatnot. And he drove around Manchester Saturday night, and it was desolate. You know, the odd car and the odd bit of public transport, and literally the only people left on the streets were the homeless, man. And most of them are probably veterans and whatnot, you know. I mean, not like old veterans, but, you know, ex-servicemen and whatnot. So they're going on the news, they're looking after the homeless and giving them hotels and all this business. It's an absolute load of bollocks. Pardon my French.
We like French here, don't we?
I should have asked that in the beginning. I knew there were going to be a few choice words tonight.
Well, hey, I'm just shocked that Jace hasn't called anybody a cunt yet, and he's been on for
Oh, listen, mate, I could nominate 1 million. I mean, what was that shit you sent to me earlier on? I did with Mark Steele on it. Good, John blimey. That with that Kate
Shemrami it is. She was talking to Mark Steele.
And she says, I've got sitting next to me Mark Steele, and I put in comments, good job you weren't actually sitting next to him, I might have shot you in the head.
That's not even allegedly, is it?
No, it's real.
Well, but again, I've listened to him so many times now. I've never actually spoken to him because when you interviewed him, I wasn't available. I was only available, unfortunately, for the Lee Garrett shows.
You love them, didn't you?
Oh, fucking hell. It's the same old stuff. I mean, he is making it aware, but this court case thing, it's been bugging me about the court case stuff because I know so many people who have taken court cases on and lost, and they've then created, because of their loss, they've created a certain precedent or case law that is now then a roadblock in front of anybody else who wants to take that argument forward. And the way the courts work for that to happen, you know what I mean, with the council tax stuff that we're involved in now, it's taken us best part of 6 months for them to actually accept that they have to comply with what we're asking. And out of 2 letters, one says, no, you can't. And the other one goes, yeah, you can. We'll send you a date. Because they just have to stretch it out for that length of time. And that's all the shenanigans that's going on.
What about, just a quick, if we go into total lockdown, what do you think will happen to all the homeless people? Do you think that's what the FEMA camps are? Do you think they've got some sort of camp system set up for them to all be put into? Because I mean, they can't self-isolate in the box, can they? In the doorway.
Yeah, are you defining total lockdown? How are you defining that total lockdown? As in, people not even go to work or not even go shopping? I
think just a structured system where you have designated time periods to do your business. You know.
Well, that's what they did in China. I watched. There was a guy on a YouTuber. I just came across him because sometimes they just throw things up on the side that you might be interested in. And this YouTuber came up. He was a Russian guy. He was in Wuhan when it was locked down, and he was.
I think I've seen that. I think I've seen it.
He sneaked his footage out, and he showed that basically when they went into complete shutdown, they had it where they had guards at the top of on the main junctions on streets and things like that, and you couldn't go out of your house unless you had a designated time for going shopping, like 3 times a week. Maybe you could go shopping, and that was it. That was the only time you was allowed out of your house, was to go shopping.
Well, each citizen in China has there's like a piece of software that's the equivalent of Facebook, but not Facebook. Where you can message one another and whatnot, but it includes all your details, your medical details, your address, everything. And, the guards, wherever they may be, can just scan it, see who you are. And even the cameras apparently somehow can pick it up person to person. There's like, it's like if they took Facebook now and made everybody become a part of it in the UK and just... it's
the only difference between us and China in that sense is the fact that China is basically, the government is open about they have all this information, whereas in our country all the corporations have the information and the police can get the information if they want it, or the government can, but they're not as open about it in that sense. It's not as obvious, is it? I mean, I'll give you an example. When people were talking about hoarders and stuff like that, and I pointed out the fact, if somebody has a garage full of toilet rolls and hand sanitizer now stashed away because they've bought all this stuff from a warehouse, and then the local hospital hasn't got any supplies, they'll just be able to type in a computer, say, right, who bought all these supplies from this warehouse? Oh, it was such and such a guy at such and such a address. And they could go around your house and just seize all the assets if they wanted to. So, because they know everything you buy. As long as you're not using cash, if you're using a card, they can track everything.
Well, I just caught that comment there from John Smith, Paul, and you know what? I looked up at the sky this morning and there was not a single one in the sky.
No. It's been a lovely day.
Yeah, I noticed it.
There's a lot of people been publishing it. I mean, did you see that Venice, with their lockdown, all the canals have become that clear, dolphins and fish and that. You can see them clearly swimming in the canals over there.
It's amazing what a few days without all this technology and all this.
Well, that's it. You know, think about
us
it.
bell ends, you mean, Jimmy? Us bell ends without us bell ends.
Are you two a similar age? You guys, yeah. Well, you three.
All
I'm
of
like,
them,
what,
yeah,
30,
really.
I think I'm like 36 now. 1984, I was born conveniently. And I know. But you've got to admit, you know, since I was a kid, the influx of technology and how quickly it's took over almost every aspect of our life. It is, I mean, even that in itself is something you've got to think about, isn't it? You know?
The last 20 years of technology has been on steroids.
Oh, aye.
Because we were quite steady up. We were quite steady up till the 90s, and then once the internet started to come, and I remember a mate of mine who's an IT manager. He was building his own PC. Well, I had a Commodore Amiga with all these games. He was building a PC. You know, he's building his own PC from scratch, and it you know, it must have cost him over about 3 years. It must have cost him the best part of $2,000 to build this computer back in the day. And it was like it you know, I used to joke it would virtually run NASA at that time. And he kept going, he kept saying, there's internet that's coming, he kept saying. He says, everybody's going to be on it. I'm like, fuck off. Here we go. And then, so I've had the two major revelations. I told a lad who said the internet is going to be the future, and I told him to fuck off because I was too busy playing football on my Commodore Amiga. And the best one was a history lesson at school when one lesson where they said we were going to do this subject, and I wrote the date and the title, and then it was pens down, discuss what the subject on the board with the teacher, and that was the Bills of Exchange Act 1882. And I put my pen down, Clarkey, and I went, never going to use this. Bonkers. It's an absolute bonkers world.
It's like, you know, like you've just said, everything's designed so that the common normal person just couldn't get his head around it, even if he wanted to, you know. Even like when it comes to just law and courts and stuff like that, they design it so you've no idea what's going on, man. You know, we are all in a big social experiment.
Well,
highly likely, brother.
A fellow Salfordian there, mate.
I think I recognise the name there. He might watch some of my videos there, you know. And yeah, you got it right there, Paul. Who was it who said I was from Manchester?
You recognise
from cheeky bastard.
We all use Salfordians, you're all manx. At this point, my mate normally calls me a Wiganer.
I was just going to say that. It would be like calling us Wiganers, that wouldn't it, really?
He normally calls me a pie eater at that, as he's putting his laminated map away.
Pie eater and the LobbyGobbler.
Yeah, Leith is apparently LobbyGobblers.
I don't know about your lot, but when we were growing up, I mean, we had, I think the Spectrum, Sinclair Spectrum.
Oh yeah, I had one myself, mate. Amstrad CPC 464 was my game, mate. I had hundreds of them on it as well.
No.
We used to play Football Manager. Now, my mate, his mum, his dad had died a couple of years before, but his mum used to go away a lot. So when we were like 14, 15, he'd have his house to himself for like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
You know, and we'd all go out and stop, and we'd play on Football Manager, honestly, solid for a week.
Easy.
Now we would do that, and we'd sleep in shifts, and there'd be a bunch of us, and we'd be drinking beer, and we'd be playing football. And you remember Football Manager, like the graphics were awful, but you know
it was just words when we first started playing Football Manager games.
Oh,
just came up. Such and such a guy's had a shot. So, he's just missed it. We'll say come across screen.
But it was the best thing.
There was no graphics.
We'd play it for a week. But the thing is that we had to have the luxury of having a mate whose mum went away for a couple of weeks for us to do that. Whereas now they can just do that all the time. They play
sat on the bus, aren't they, man? You know.
Yeah.
I used to remember sitting there waiting for an Amstrad game loading, and it almost gave me an epileptic seizure, man. You know what I mean? It was lethal, wasn't it? Wow.
Brian Clough's Football Fortunes we used to play. We had one summer where we played this Brian Clough's Football Fortunes. It was an amazing game.
Yeah.
Probably shite now, but
I've got a top
time.
little story about technology. There were a lad. I see this story. This lad had one of the old, the first PlayStation that came out. He had a game called Colin McRae, and he used to play it with his dad. And his dad died, and about 15, 20 years later, I don't know however long the gap's been since it was released. He dug it out the attic. You know, I don't thought, but he's probably thought about his dad. But he started playing this rally game, and his dad was flying past him round track on the goal stated on his memory card, and so he was able to race his dad still to this day on this old game, you know, that had been collecting dust in his attic. I thought it was just a top story, man. You know, one of the good things that can come out of technology, you know.
Yeah.
Pretty cool, man.
Well, all this new technology is being thrown at us for all benefits, isn't it? I mean, from the chip in your hand where you can open your car door and pay for your can of pop, to opening your house and turning your lights on, and Alexa can tell you everything. You know, I've spoken to ex-coppers, ex-CID and that, and they said we used to have to get a warrant to phone tap you or bug you or something like that. He says, now you lot all go out and buy it for us.
Well, then they introduce a law to do with this coronavirus now where they can cremate bodies without applying for a certain thing or something like that.
Well, this is scary because you've got people who, especially if we look at Italy now, because they're the ones that have got a massive amount of deaths. They've got dead bodies in quarantine whose families haven't seen them, who can't see them. Those bodies will not have an autopsy and they'll go straight to cremation. Now,
they don't even need any, well, like you said, no autopsy, no identification of anything. And this
is for me what's dangerous. We were talking about Mark Steele in the court case. What come out of that court case up there, Gateshead Council have actually going to have their own crematorium run by the council. Now, if they've got a funeral service as well, I think you're writing an open check, because we've already got pathways. We're already losing people. You know, there's people being killed or pathwayed every day. You know, the people that we're losing every day is a lot more than what we're losing at the moment. But because this virus is new and it is man-made, we can't. It's like Jimmy said, we can't ever put our finger on whether it's been released on purpose or it's accidental. I'm always going to err on the side of it's on purpose.
Well, it's funny, isn't it, how China have apparently cleared it all up. Yeah, you know, over here. I mean, a couple of months, about a month ago, I had severe flu and an extreme sore throat. I had everybody had it.
Everybody had it.
Well, I went to the doctor and they told me I had a bit of a viral infection and my asthma was affected me. They put me on steroids. I had to take 8 of these steroids a day to open up my lungs and whatnot. But now thinking about it, I'm thinking, wow. And my mate's Mrs. Kay, Gary, my mate's Kay, my mate's Mrs. She had a proper bout of this stuff, man. And, you know, it makes me wonder how long it's actually been over here. And I reckon a lot of people have already had it and they're just oblivious to it, man, you know?
Could be.
Definitely.
Yeah, there's always that phrase, isn't there? There's a bug going round. There's something going round. You know, you get it every year. And I think this year, this would only be on that scale at the moment anyway, from given the amount of people that it's affected compared to flu has affected this so far this year. You know, how many people have died of flu so far this year? It's just a minuscule amount compared to flu. Like we said, nobody can. We're all trying to put his finger on it, aren't we? What it's all about.
Well,
that's what they want, though, with it, just mass hysteria and confusion. And then in the end, conformity.
Well, we'll say about it is when over the next few months, see how many people actually pass away with it, because I do think it's pretty bad, if I'm honest. It's not like it's so deadly to just your average person. It's the fact that if everybody gets it at the same time, or if we've passed it around really fast and everybody's getting it at the same time, it is going to overload the hospitals and people will be dying who could have survived. That's the problem. That's what they're trying to avoid, really. It's the fact that,
and then even if it doesn't get to that point, you've got, who's going to be then saying, "Oh, would it have really got that bad or whatever?" You can't win, man. It's just information overload in it, constantly.
It is. I mean, he's quoting. I've seen different experts quoting different things about it and different tests from different countries, giving different views on how it works. And there's nothing final yet. Everybody's still trying to suss it out, aren't they? And so there's so much information out there. You can kind of grab what you want.
It can make you ill. It can make you ill, mate. It really can. Sometimes I have 2-3 month periods, where I just completely switch off technology as a whole, Just go back to reality, man.
Well, I think we're going to end up with no choice. You know what I mean? I mean, people say internet might get cut off. Well, I mean, the internet's going to be no good if we've got no electricity. So it's and the people that need the electricity, the people that the infrastructure, they're going to keep on getting it. Webby, I think you said you were going to do an hour, didn't you? I know you want to carry on, but anyway, I just wanted to wanted to just get you to remind me to tell you about Adi before we finish tonight, because I've been up phone to him today. He's quite worried at the moment.
In what way? Well,
in Thailand.
Yeah, about being able to get back, you mean, or?
Yeah, well, his flight is on the 8th of April, and Emirates, who he's flown with, have said that they are suspending all flights from the 25th of March, which is Wednesday, I believe.
Yeah.
Well, in that case, I'd be shitting it myself, Paul.
So he's trying to. I don't know whether he's trying to get his. I know he got through to him today, and they did say that they'd have an answer, a definitive answer on what people could do by tomorrow. So hopefully, because there's nothing for him to do there. Everything's shut. It's all just on lockdown.
Everything's shut.
Everything, really. All the entertainment's gone back to the villagers inland, which has probably spread. If this virus is spreading through people, has probably spread that virus a little bit more in Thailand.
There's no doubt about that, is there?
I think there's possibly worse things being spread around Thailand.
So I don't know what he's going to do. I'm going to find out. I'm going to find out tomorrow. So, well, it's. I mean, he's stuck there. At least it'll be wham.
Oh yeah, it's going to be wham, all right.
Wow.
Bloody hell.
I only accommodation or whatnot, but I was saying to my mate the other day, we've had worse contagious bacteria put into our bodies from some of the boozers we've drunk in town, than this coronavirus. You just don't know. You just don't know what to believe, man.
Did you not see what's his name? The fella who owns the Wetherspoons. He said he was going to keep them open. He said he was going to keep them open because corona doesn't spread through pubs. That's what he said.
Did you say it don't spread through pubes?
Pubs, not pubes.
No, but I think when that came out though, I think a lot of what a lot of people do on Facebook and whatnot is they see an old post and then they repost it. And everyone thinks because that post resets comment wise, view wise, once you've reshared it, they assume that it's been recently put out. But the reality is that was 2-3 days ago, I think, before they announced the pubs and clubs were getting shut. You got to be careful what you look into, aren't you? The way I see it is when I'm out and about on the streets, talking to people I know, just reality. That's what I'll take. I'll take that, and that'll do me. Whatever the mainstream media tell me, they can tell me. try and make me, try and indoctrinate me and terrify me. But, if I see the army on the streets, if I see everything shut, if we're all fighting for food, then, you just got to deal with it as it comes, haven't you? Scary times, people.
I think that's what the position that we're all in, because it's unprecedented. We don't know what they're going to do. If they know, even if, like Jimmy was saying, that maybe they don't know what they're doing right now, and that everything's gone tits up. I feel that they've been preparing for this for so long. I think they can jump the gun, but that's normally when we go, whoa, what the fuck have you just done there? What's gone on then? No, normally stuff like that. With this stuff though, it's how can you fuck it up? Because the longer you leave it, the more chaos there'll be, and then you'll have things that you'll have to do. And if it comes down to civil unrest, if there's one thing that they're prepared for, is civil unrest. They're easily prepared for that. And then we've got people shouting for army on the streets as well.
These people they've no clue. I mean, a couple of years
Dangerous.
back, I was looking into that Agenda 21, and the goal within that is to cull, a certain percentage of the population, innit? So you don't know, man. What's that? Convoys of white coaches is one to look for. As the military use plain white buses.
I didn't know that one.
No, I never knew that.
But I've certainly not seen anything myself with my own eyes. I've heard a lot of rumours and stuff like that, but I'm hearing rumours from everywhere, from not just mainstream, from everything. I mean, for me, it's end times. It's end times. This is biblical. We've burnt everything fucking out. We've burnt everything out. What else is there? I can't see I can't see where this goes in the fact for people and their lives, because when they pass legislation and take things from you, you never, ever get it back. And they take things bit by bit, and people say, oh, well, you won't see army on the streets. They won't do that. That's already in the legislation. Yeah, but they said they're not going to do it. They don't put it into the legislation.
I saw a documentary, well, maybe not a documentary, but something that someone put together about this Agenda 21, and there's basically a plan to eradicate an awful lot of the planet. That's why they've started sectioning areas of the planet off into these, national reserves or whatever, where people aren't allowed to go. And what they want to do is keep the people who are beneficial to the society that will remain. So, as scary as it sounds, I don't know, man, Apparently, there's enough room on the planet and a lot more for everyone to have their own plot of land and be self-sustainable.
Well, the Georgia Guidestones don't want that. And that seems to be another conspiracy theory that's now come to the forefront, where, the first one of those commandments in English says keep the Earth's population below 500 million. We're a few billion already over that. So what is the term of that? There's got to be something. You can't.
You were saying, Webby, you were saying earlier on that we seem to be going into times which are almost biblical, and people might, think poo-poo that, or you blah blah blah. But I've got to say, when you see people buying enough bog roll to make sure that their entire family can wipe their arse for the next 6 years, does have a biblical swarm of locusts feel to it. The locusts, they're the locusts. They go out and they get rid of all the bog roll, and then they get rid of all the pasta and the rice and all the other things. And
they're the people who aren't going to make it, man. I've been wiping my ass on dot leaves for decades. You know what I mean? Some people are just that far gone into their indoctrination. Kids these days, they don't even know how to do anything without turning a mobile phone on, man. Never mind like a little campfire.
You see, I'm hoping this thing might come out with some positives, if I'm honest, in the sense that it might wake people up.
I know we have got a bit miserable tonight, haven't we? I thought
Well, you know what I mean? When they're bailing out all the banks and everything again, like they did in 2008, because it's coming. They're going to have to start trying to bail out the banks. And if people at the bottom are still thinking, hang on, I've still no job, and you're bailing out bankers again, and it might really make people, I don't know.
It'll be taxes again, you know. I've had all these new laws imposed on me, you know, further restricting my freedoms. And when are people really going to truly realise, you know? Well,
when they're fucked, when they can't pay the mortgages, when they're overloaded, when they're not allowed to go to work because they're an accountant, they can't work from home because, you know, the internet's my wife works in she works in a department, shall we say, a government department. Okay. Now they have what they call a RAS, so she can work from home. So she's got this laptop, and she has what they call a RAS, which connects her to the system, so she can get into the system and from home, and she can do her work.
This is where I'm from. There's another meaning for the old RAS.
Yeah. All right. Well, this is that. But she's been cut. They sent her an email the other day, and now she's been told she can only use a RAS between 10 and 11 in the morning and 3 and 4 in the afternoon. So, I mean, she's got to work from home because they're not allowed, you know, to go into the office. So, she can essentially work for 2 hours a day.
Yeah.
You know? And that's when it's going to hit people, is when it's people right where they don't want it to hit, in their pockets, and they've been after the poor, and they've been after the poor and going after us and going on, and the people that are just above us, that are only really a couple of paychecks of being away from being poor. You know, they've just looked down upon us, and now shit's getting real for them.
Oh, wow.
I have noticed that. Can I just say this? I have noticed how so many kind of people who voted for, you know, Brexit and voted Tory for the first time and have been raving about Boris Johnson and how great it's going to be, have suddenly their heads are exploding now because they're seeing all this money printing. The magic money tree suddenly appeared, proves all along that they could have printed the money, and they can't accept that it's socialism, what's happening, or some form of socialism, printing all this money and the government getting involved. You know what I mean? It's like, I found it quite amusing in a way, watching the
in it as well, though, you know, how they're able to do this. I mean, well, it is. But, like, you know, when you're talking about these world leaders and people who run the show, Boris Johnson, I mean, you know, in reality, would you personally put Boris Johnson in power? I mean, the dude can't even brush his fucking hair, for God's sake. Do you know what I mean, man? You know, but seriously, you know, I don't know. It's none of the people I've ever seen who run the show, particularly anyone I'd follow out in reality, you know?
I watched, now I wouldn't recommend watching BBC programs, but I watched one the other night on BBC 4, and it was about Boris Johnson's government advisor. Now he's a cunt. He's a cunt. He is a cunt. He's the one that wrote in. I think there's been things that he's written in a report that, you know, getting rid of over 60s would help enormously, you know, the economy of the country and everything, all like that. And he is a proper cunt. Now there was a program about him.
About Cummings here.
Cummings, that's him, Dominic Cummings, yeah. And there were a program on BBC 4 about him, or it might have been on BBC 2 actually. But it was about him, and I recommend people watch it because he is a proper cunt. And when I mean cunt, like from first degree, and then when you see that, you'll realise this is where that's all coming from. It's coming from him. He's selfless.
He's the one who said that they should let the elderly die, isn't he?
That's the one.
Oh, is it? Yeah. Right. Yeah, no, I remember. Yeah, there's something about that the other day.
Is it the guy? I think he came up with this herd immunity nonsense. Yeah, I'm honest.
Absolute nonsense.
Yeah, but watch it. Nonsense. If you get half an hour, I think it is. Just have a watch of it. I know it's probably going to be a bit bent and biased because it's BBC, but just watching it, just the stuff. Even if he did half of the stuff that they're saying he did, I mean, it just shows you what an absolute. Well, I've said it too many times. I don't want to say it on your show. I don't want your show to get a.
We'll have to get a little cunt counter down at bottom left, won't we?
Oh,
It normally only goes up when he's on.
Can I say as well, Clarkey? Now, I don't want you to take this wrong way, and I hope you don't.
Go on.
But you sound like I watched this thing the other night. You know how boring it is.
If you say Terry Christian, I'm going to come and hunt you down.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm not going to say Terry Christian. No, you're obviously not Terry Christian. But you sound like, I'll tell you, I watched a documentary on Man United, and there was this bloke, and I've seen him before. I think I've seen him on like Casper's Countdown or something. And he's like,
right.
It sounds like you. I think he does like poems, and he talks in a poetic way. And I can't remember his name, but
John Cooper Clarke.
John Cooper Clarke. Oh, I'll take that one, brother.
Yeah, that's. I think he would do it.
Salford's finest, mate.
Yeah,
Beasley Street.
That's who you reminded me of, because I was watching a documentary he did about the Doherty years. About really just after when after what's his name? Oh God,
Matt Busby.
What's his
after Matt Busby and the other guy they got from Leicester for a season.
After Matt Busby, and then went through the managers and got to Doherty, and then he went that far, and I really enjoyed it. Yeah, and, you sounded just like him. That's what he reminded me of. And I just thought I'd say it.
I'll take that, brother. No offence taken there, mate. I actually have a regular subscriber. Best from the Happy Mondays, you cheeky bastard. I might groove like him, brother, when I've had a few scoops. No, but I've got a regular who comes to my channel who comments on the videos and refers to me as Dr. Clark. He said the same thing. So, yeah, maybe people can hear that. We are from the same place, also. I think
I'm first shit at this. Jason's better at this than me, but I better say hello to some of the people in the chat room because they've been listening.
Well, I can't see the chat. I would have said something myself, mate. But I'm not on YouTube. I'm on the what is it, StreamYard? So.
Yeah. If there's a thing on top right corner that says live comments, if you click on that, you'll be able to see them.
You are joking me.
No, it's live comments up at the top, mate.
Oh my lord, there's loads of them.
Like, hello to John Smith, James Owens, Blazing Stars, Salford Guy.
If anyone said that, I'm sorry for not replying.
No worries. I think Bewley's in there as well. Dean Yates, Super Leeds as always. Apparently, Uni wants me to talk to me about Hitler and World War II.
Well, you were there.
That's going to be a long one.
I was. It feels like it, mate. It feels like I was there.
Mate, you'll beat World War III, mate. Don't worry about
that. I think I've laid the battle plans for that. I just don't think they're going to. I don't think they'll be sticking to taking me to court for my gas all this time.
I'll be in the Queen's Handicap Division Regiment.
No, you'll be watching the Invictus Games, won't you?
yeah. Me and Prince Harry.
Yeah.
Clarkey, some bloke asked him because he was in his mobility scooter. Some bloke decided to make a conversation with him and said, "So, have you been watching the Invictus Games?" Just because he had one leg, have you been watching the Invictus Games? What was your answer again, Jason?
I can't. No, I was polite about it. I said, no, I don't watch that. I don't watch that nonsense. It's all crap. I said, I'm not really into handicap sport. Like, I'm into real sport. Proper sport. I don't mind it, but I don't mind it, and I like people that play it and all that sort of stuff. It's just that I don't want to participate. I certainly don't want to watch it.
I gave up on sport a long time ago. The only thing I watch is UFC and boxing really these days. All the rest of it's just, it's not for me.
You don't watch rugby league, Clarkey?
No, I don't watch it, mate. No.
Nobody watches any sport these days, for fuck's sake.
There's no sport on now. Well, they all get refunds who pay for Sky Sports where there's no football and rugby on.
Do people still pay for that?
I don't know. I'm assuming if you have Sky Sports, you do. Unless you have a dodgy box.
Dude, I've got the World Wide Web, man.
I get everything that I want off the internet. If I want to watch anything, I can watch it on the internet. It's that with the TV packages and stuff like that. It's I can't even imagine coming home to watch telly again anymore. I mean, I used to finish work. I'd used to watch fucking Emmerdale, Coronation Street, EastEnders, Coronation Street. I used to get through all that before I'd go to bed, and I look back now and think, whoa, why?
Well, we've got a big TV on the wall behind us, and it's never turned on in our house. Everybody's in their own little world, doing their own thing on the phones or on the computers. Nobody watches TV anymore in our room, in our house. So,
but why do you have a TV license?
I didn't see you there, Kate. I just clocked
why have you got a TV license then, Jimmy?
What, sorry?
Why have you got a TV license?
Well, I occasionally watch a football match when Man City's on.
Oh, you weak man. Weak.
I still think they should cancel this season. You can't have a season without finishing it. It needs to be cancelled, really, doesn't it?
As long as they give us the title, mate, you can cancel it.
They can give you a brand new trophy, the Corona Cup or something.
I've already seen COVID-19 Liverpool 18.
Oh dear me, that's brilliant.
I've just clocked there. It's Salford Guy. Is that you, Gary, in the comments, mate? I think it is. So yeah,
one of your mates, yeah.
Yeah, he's the guy who did the video up in Manchester the other day. You know, on the mobile, just cruising around the streets and that.
Oh
yeah.
You
know, it was a desolate Saturday night, eerily empty, man. You know.
What was that? And which night was that?
That was Saturday just gone, mate.
And so did like all the bars adhere to it? Because I know there's loads
there was nothing open, mate. And I've been through town on a Saturday night a lot of times over the years, and it's usually heaving. The only people literally on the street was 2 or 3 dudes with masks on, and the homeless laying the shop doorways still, you know.
So what are you guys predicting will happen in the next 2 weeks? What's your predictions for the next 2 weeks?
I don't know, man, but I've been refreshing my memory on all the locations I've visited, especially the ones that include underground bunkers.
You're not going to the mental asylum then?
Oh no, mate, no, I'm going deep underground, me brother.
Well, I'm making a couple of predictions. I think by the end of next week we'll have basically a shutdown of everything apart from essential workers going out, and that'll be it. Basically, and going shopping.
I agree.
And if there's any more hoarding and people being stupid, taking all the stuff out of the supermarkets, I think they'll end up putting some troops on the streets and stuff.
I reckon all the shopping centres and whatnot will be manned by the military within the.
And I also think they'll bring in some form of a universal basic income within the next 2 weeks. Yeah, especially if Trump does it first. If Trump does it first, Boris will definitely follow suit because he'll have somebody to say, "Well, they're doing it, so we'll give it a try." I don't think he'll do it until somebody else does it though first. If I'm honest.
Well, that seems to be the path he's following, isn't it? You know.
See, along with the bills and everything, they can write all them off. They'll just take a hit, or shall I say, the utility companies will take their hit from getting their profits whilst this is going on. All they're going to do is do their actual bookkeeping, what they're meant to do on our behalf anyway.
Well,
gas, water, electric, they're going to give it you for free.
This is where you're going to get all your problems. When this coronavirus is gone or, dissipated enough that we can start going back to normal, all your problems are going to start because it's going to be who owes what, who's going to pay this debt, there'll be loads of wrangling over it because I'm sure the financial institutions and these big hedge funds and pension funds, they have to have people paying interest because that's what all they do. They just make money off money, don't they? So if people can't pay this money back, it's going to fuck the system up, basically. I think this is where I think the trouble's going to come after this virus subsides. I think then it's going to be a fight for who has to pay all the debts back or who's going to lose out.
There's going to be a major reset. That's what I think.
That's the point, Jim. They can't be paid. There's absolutely no way to pay this
I keep
debt.
saying this, mate. There's so much debt. There has to be a debt jubilee.
Yes, Adi. Yes, Adi.
Thanks. Well, it's just a thought, just something that went through my mind when you were talking about what's going to happen and what the end game or what the next couple of weeks are going to bring. I think we're going to be in total lockdown by tomorrow morning. I'd say that. But why Boris Johnson is doing a press conference at 7 o'clock, it makes no sense at all. It's just going to get people, they're going to be on their way into work and then they're just going to be turning around and going home. And anybody who's non-essential, you're going to need your ID. So if you're a paramedic or anything like that, or if you're work for council or you do something, you're going to need ID. You're going to be on the street. You're going to be stopped. You're going to have to register your registration plate number so that you don't get any shit people coming around and saying, well, what you doing out? It's going to be like that. It's going to get Orwellian. It's going to get proper Orwellian. Now, I think this is what about this? I think this is to destroy the economy, right? Now, they completely destroy the economy, which they're going to do. The government are then it's going to come out that it's going to make good mainstream. This wasn't really as bad as we first thought. So now we can all go back to work. But there's billions and billions of pounds, trillions of pounds that are lost through the economy, which the government are going to have to compensate businesses. And it's only going to be big businesses. It's not going to be the little places or someone who owns a franchise. They're not going to be compensated. But what will happen is, because this is happening all over Europe, the European Central Bank will say we'll print the money and we'll bail every country out that's in the EU, and then we'll be forced to remain in the EU in order to get the printed money from the European Central Bank. Just a thought. I don't know. I don't know what anyone thinks about that. It's just something I just went through my mind.
I don't know what the EU is going to do, if I'm honest. It's because their kind of economy is run through the European Central Bank. So I don't know how they're going to do it, because I'm sure I read today that Italy had been fined to 70 million euros because they've been bailing out some industries that were struggling without getting permission from the rest of the EU. So I really don't know. It's a mess for them because they can't print their own money. They have to rely on the central bank to do it from, don't they? And then they'll all be arguing over which country gets most money because they need it most and stuff.
But what if the European Central Bank are given powers by the European Union to be able to quantitatively ease the entire Europe and then print money ad nauseum like they did after when they were quantitative easing after the 2008 crash? I mean, they could be some sort of blackmail plan to keep us within the EU and keep the super state going, because we are us. If we'd have gone, how they said the end of the world if we leave the EU? Well, we did on the 31st of January, and then what happened? The world started ending, didn't it? It began to end. And so, as far as I'm concerned, it could be something just to crash the economy, crash the entire economy of all of Europe, and then bailers, European Central Bank, given special powers by the EU to quantitatively ease the entire. They did it in America, and Europe's about the size of America, isn't it? Really, I mean, they could do it. The Federal Reserve bailed out the banks and did quantitative easing in America, and I suppose it's United States, but we'd be like United States to Europe. It's the same sort of scale, I would imagine. There's probably the same amount of people living in these. Probably Europe's a bit bigger, but
Well, I think all the banks around the world are going to end up printing money and putting money into the system. They're all going to have to do it, aren't they? Just to keep the wheels turning in the system. So,
I think the old digital currency thing's one of the major agendas.
They have to forgive it.
That could be
They
something
have to
they push
forgive
through. Definitely something they could push through because of this crisis, which I wouldn't like at all. I'd be totally opposed to it, me. Having everything digital. I just don't like it all.
That's inevitable. That's just inevitable, isn't it? You know, there's no question about it.
I don't know. Could all small businesses? I don't know. Maybe with technology because they can use the phones, can't they? I don't know.
Yeah, everything will be on our smartphones soon, easily.
What happens if you can't afford a smartphone?
Well, if everything in your life, your number, that's what I mean. We're all just pretty much numbers, aren't we? If they can put everything, to identify us and know everything about us into one device, they'll give that away, won't they, to keep us all in line? It's inevitable, man. There's no other way technology is going to go, is there? And if this virus is just part of a big, massive excuse. That's why it's so overblown to possibly introduce that.
Well, it would suit the people in power because, like I said, they can literally the only things they can't track payments with cash. So if everything went digitalised, they'd be able to track everything.
Exactly.
So I can understand why they'd want to push that, and I will oppose it really badly because. I don't know. Can you imagine going to your hairdressers and I thought, oh yeah, can't even, everything's cared. I don't know. I just don't like the idea of it at all.
We're talking about window cleaners having cash machines and everything.
It's like there's so many industries where it would be a pain. Going to the chippy and I thought get a card all the time.
Yeah, but if you could just touch your mobile phones together or some kind of smart device, and it's easily enough done, isn't it? I mean, you can exchange files and everything by just putting your mobile.
Maybe we could have a chip put inside us, Clarkey.
Hey!
Yeah, that'd be a good idea, wouldn't it?
That'd be an easy one. Maybe they could give us that when they mandatory vaccinate us.
Well, they start off with your pets, don't they? They chip your pets.
Exactly.
They start you off with a card with a chip pin. Then they put it onto your phone. Now they're talking about skin tattoos. It's a progression, isn't it? We've always seen it.
I mean, all the kids in high school are paying for their dinners. When they'd take money into school, they exchange it, and it goes into a digital account, and they use the fingerprints to get the school.
Exactly.
And whatnot,
Exactly. I mean, my kid is at school now. She wouldn't be getting her fingerprints, and she wouldn't have had the HPV.
No, not
I still beat myself up over that. Obviously,
my first lad had vaccinations, and what happened to his legs after he had it. That's when I started researching into all this, and never gave him again. None of them have ever been ill. None of them have ever been ill.
Exactly, but people say that you're responsible if you're not going to
absolute
do that.
Load of bollocks.
It is an absolute load of bollocks because
the people who say that are the ones who are sat on a horde of bog roll now, mate. You know what I mean?
Well, this is the mentality of people. I mean, I just don't. It's so easy to sit around and judge people when you're not in their shoes. Maybe up until I started all this stuff, and me and Jason's talked about it loads about when it comes and knocks on your door, you've got a choice. You either you start again, or bend over, let them do what they're doing and crack on, or you start researching and seeing where you stand in it all. The trouble is when you actually find out your rights and you know what you're doing, that's when you see the corporations really get dirty. And the corporations have got the courts, the councils, and the police all working with them. So, for people who want to know about things that are happening in courts and they want proof and then they want templates, there isn't templates. We're all trying to do things, and we've all got things that have worked, and those things don't necessarily even work now that worked 8 years ago, because people have tried stuff and they've, the corporations and the courts have learned as quickly as us because we overtook them, and then they started to learn by people making mistakes. That's why you can't go off half-cocked with all this stuff. There's no easy fix with this stuff. You've got to, if you're going to get involved, you're in it for the long haul, because these people have been in it for a long haul. That you don't see these people panicking and rushing about, do you?
I'd say this is where me and you differ, because I think they're already in control, and I think this is panicking them.
I can imagine your response there, Kay, in the comments. I'm just reading them comments, man. I keep forgetting to check them because I can't see them unless I click on that thing at top, man. And yeah, I just clocked it is Gary Salford guy, the cheeky bastard, calling me Bez. I'ma see you.
But I get what you're saying, Jim. I do. I get what you're saying about the control. There is control, and they've got power. And the good question is, what would they want to do all this for? The answer is, I really don't know. But these people seem to be so sociopathic, so psychotic that, you know, it would be like if I was losing a game of Monopoly, I'd blow us all up just because I was losing, because I could do that.
Over.
But the deeper into the rabbit hole you go, the further you look into it, you start feeding into fucking paedophilia and satanic ritualism.
It is. I mean, that's,
you know, it's disgusting.
That's possibly one of the biggest things that I remember in the 80s. I do remember seeing like a Phil Donahue show or something like that talking about satanic ritual abuse, and they brought out the satanic panic stuff that diverted everybody. Say, oh, it doesn't really happen. And then we've had all the satanic stuff that's come out now. That's got to take its place within wherever all this establishment is, because
it's going on across the board,
is what runs it.
Easy.
Yeah, the
like
paedophilia is what controls everything.
Oh, I mean, look at the mainstream music industry now. You can't say that you don't see all this symbolism within it. Even in films,
you're not looking.
It's just blatantly there. The one eye thing, you know, in almost every single movie I've ever seen and gone back to, the all-seeing eyes in it, the pyramid, it's in everything, man. It's just there. They're blatantly showing it to us. They're mocking us. It's completely.
They've done that for a long time, and it was always easy for people to laugh at it. But people were talking about stuff 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 10 years ago, that something like this with the economy was coming. And we've had the snippets, and we've had the big things that have taken the meat and potatoes legislation out that protected us. You know, things like Glass-Steagall and all that. They've stripped things away bit by bit to leave us in this position. And we've got so lazy as a species, because it's a bit like I do intermittent fasting, and when I speak to people about not eating for 3 days, they look at me as if, "What? Are you mad?
I don't think I could survive 3 days without some food. I'd be starving."
But that's what I'm saying. There's no such thing as starving after 3 days. Mentally, we want food, but we've gone from a species of feast or famine to grazing. So we just graze all the time, and then all of a sudden a bit of food like that. I mean, there's no issues. You've got for God's sake, even the government is saying we've got loads of food. It's just you lot coming vulturing the fucking shelves every day that we can't get the food. Just stop it. But it's like telling your missus to calm down in the middle of a conversation. You tell your missus to calm down in the middle of an argument. Sorry, that's not a good thing to do.
No, it's not, mate.
Exactly. And now you're trying to tell a load of people who believe they've got all these freedoms, and you can't tell me what to do attitude. So we'll go out and we'll, you know, I've seen pictures of pubs open, and there's people saying, yeah, you can go into this pub, but you've got to go around the back and stuff like that. So there are pubs opening, there are people going out, there are people congregating. And because of all that, it gives them the legislation that they've already passed. It gives them the chance to go on the street and say, look, we've given you a chance. And most reasonable people go, yeah, they did. All you had to do was just do as you were told for a few days. But we're losing everything. And when we start to lose things, we don't get them back without blood. And
well, have you seen all this? Is it the deep state stuff or something like that, where you know all this is a big cover-up, because behind the scenes, all of these pigs are actually being arrested and taken out of power as we speak, and
Yeah, that's the QAnon stuff that you just can't verify. You just can't verify any of it, Clarkey. That's what I'm saying. You've got so much going on. I'm asking questions, but I've got people telling me what is happening. Now, I think I've pretty much got my finger on the pulse, and I don't know what's going on. Yet there's people who haven't even looked at that much of the stuff I've looked at yet. They know exactly what's happening. They know that Boris is the man for the job, and I'm going, I don't know how you know all this. I really don't, because I've never seen anything like this. It's unprecedented. I know we've had poll tax riots, we've had all kinds, but I've never seen anything like this. Not to the point where actual army could be going onto the streets. And, we've given them, as in the general public have given them a good enough reason to be able to do that. Because as far as everybody's concerned, everybody's going to die unless we do this. So
they knew this. They knew this. They knew how we were all going to react to it. They've done little bits and bats of experiments or test runs like this over the years, haven't they? I mean, like we were saying on 9/11 before, that was just a big Hollywood blockbuster, wasn't it, man? It literally was playing out on your screens. It was. I remember watching it. I mean, I was only 15 at the time or something, and even then, that had a similar effect for me back then, and I was only a teenager, and I'm getting them kind of vibes with this, but quadruple the seriousness. You know what I mean? It's scary, man.
It is definitely scary.
Like you say, when we saw the coverage of 9/11, I actually didn't see it till I got home later that day, about 5 o'clock. So when someone said World Trade Center, when they said World Trade Center on radio, when I could hear it, I didn't know, I couldn't visualize that building.
No, I couldn't, to be honest. I didn't know what the Trade Center was till.
I did, because I'm a massive fan of Escape from New York and John Carpenter stuff, the old George A. Romero movies and whatnot. And that's another thing about the, where we were saying they kind of promote it to you before it happens. And so many of those Hollywood movies, the beginning shots or some of the iconic shots were of those trade centers, and the angle that they were viewing it from the choppers on the news was the exact same one. And it's like, you see it and you're shocked for a minute, but you've already been introduced to it and you're already used to it, man. I mean, how many movies, guys, over the past year or two have come out that are plague related, zombie apocalypse related, end of the world related, man? I mean, is it coincidence? Is it a coincidence, though?
Of course it isn't.
Yeah, exactly.
The other fan of them kind of films a few years back, didn't they?
Listen, this is 28 days later, isn't it?
I know.
I mean, we're going to have fucking these corona zombies running after us, chasing us, fucking screaming everywhere and that. Me on my one leg and fucking hopping. I'll get out of it and, we'll be shooting them up and smashing them in.
Take their heads. Take their heads, mate. You've got to take their heads.
Taking their heads off. Yeah. Oh, geez. I mean, it just like you say, we've been so much pre-programmed for this.
Yeah,
when you talk about 9/11, there were the lone gunman that went out in March of 2001, which predicted exactly, but it really said it basically told you what they did. What they were going to do, which that were a spin-off of the X-Files, weren't it?
Yeah. I remember
that showed you what they were
going back to.
It goes even further back than that, because you got that Supertramp album. Have you seen the album, the Supertramp album? You put a mirror up against it. It's got World Trade Center pictures at World Trade Center with 9/11 written above it.
Yeah. I've seen it. There's one on a Michael Jackson album cover as well, I believe, where he's literally stood on the the checkerboard. Is it the checkerboard fucking tile surface, like what's associated with all these ritualistic Illuminati associated places and whatnot, and you can literally see the trade centers behind him on fire. I can't remember what the album's called, but
Just going back to what you were saying, Clarkey, about those mainstream media shots from that news helicopter showing the two towers.
yeah,
There's footage of that shot where you see a block coming in behind, and then you see the explosion, and then you see the same shot from a slightly different angle with no dot.
yeah, and it looks edited, doesn't it? It looks edited. I've seen it. I've seen a lot of weird stuff to do with that.
There's so much that isn't right about anything that's ever happened in my lifetime when I've looked back. And I mean, I look back at the likes of, just off the top of my head, the likes of Waco, the likes of the Oklahoma City bombing, then you've got the 9/11, then you've got our 7/7. The anomalies that are in just those four things that are involved with all government forces or services, whatever you want to call them, all the government services that were involved in those things were all about cover-up, were all about pushing an agenda. I mean, PNAC, that document was written a full year before 9/11 and the Patriot Act, all written. That there's definitely planning for something there. And then, we've only got to talk about the dancing Israelis who said on live TV that they were just there to document the event. Prior knowledge, something's not right, and we've had so much taken away from us from that. And I think I've said it so many times on the 7/7 thing. There's certain things that I can't get past before we start talking. I'll talk about everything, but the 740 train at Luton that was cancelled couldn't put those alleged bombers on the transports that blew up. They couldn't get there. So let's just stop right there and talk about that. But the establishment don't want to talk about that, and they still leave that in the official narrative.
What's the conspiracy behind this 7/7? Because I don't know what you're talking about. What's your conspiracy theory behind that?
See, when I talk about stuff, it's not
show.
my particular conspiracy theory. I'm just putting ideas out there that I've picked up on the grapevine, I'm the type who just believes what he sees, and that's it. That'll do for me, man. If the army on the streets tomorrow, then
right. Can I ask you a question then about thinking? These things I see conspiracy people talking about crisis actors, whatever, crisis actors. Yeah. Why would you need a crisis actor? Why would you just, if you were that way inclined, why wouldn't you just plant a bomb and blow people up? Why do you need fake it? If you were that ruthless, you'd just plant the bomb and kill people. It wouldn't bother you. So I don't understand this crisis actor thing at all. It doesn't make sense to me.
So have you not looked into the Boston bombing, Jimmy? That's so blatantly staged.
I've seen it numerous times.
You said it didn't happen.
The pop crackers. If you look at all the crisis actors with the limbs hanging off, they're on the mobile phones and everything, Jim, on photographs. The waiting, there's a staged area.
Why would you need crisis actors? If you set a bomb off, why do you need crisis actors? They're going to get people injured.
I seen one the other day. Some member of the public took a photograph of someone in Italy, in one of the hospitals in Italy. And this doctor had the full mask on, full pandemic gear and everything. But the person took a picture of the dude who was filming it on the camera, who was stood there in his fucking tracksuit bottoms and a t-shirt, man. Do you know what I mean?
LobbyGobbler, let me just ask you this, right, okay. Let me just say, why would you need the crisis actors? Right, now just say you're in this cabal, right, and you're part of this cabal, and you did 9/11, right? And after 9/11, you saw, I gave you what you wanted. You were able to go into, other countries, and do what the fuck you wanted to. You can bomb them and do whatever you wanted to because people were behind you. So you think then after 9/11 they saw that the people were so fucking baying for blood that they would. That anybody that got a tea towel, that's perceived to have a tea towel on their head, would get fucking beat up, right? Someone who they call them ragheads or towelheads or all this, and there were all that hatred, and they realised that amount of hatred, that's the death of 3,000 people, if that amount of hatred, if you've noticed, all these things since have been a lot smaller. We talk about 7/7. You need to look at a couple of documentaries, 7/7 Ripple Effect and 7/7 Ripple Effect 2. Just have a look at them. I won't make any comment on them, but you should have a look at them. But when you see how people reacted to that, now, if you're starting to get a little bit shaky about, because people are bringing up things that they've noticed about these attacks that don't make any sense, and there's enough people, it's only a few people, but it's more people than you'd like it to be, and it's more people than perhaps you can control. So in future, you don't really want to be taking responsibility for deaths. So what they do is they'll stage these attacks. These attacks are a lot smaller. There's you usually know when it's something really they've really fucked up on, because it'll be there and it'll be gone. Like just think about that, the Tunisia attack. Remember that one?
Yeah,
The beach where there were 38 Brits killed. Have you heard about that? Anything about that in the media ever since?
Nothing whatsoever.
They messed up. They messed up, so they take attention away from it onto something else. They messed up.
Were the crisis actors come into it?
Well, crisis actors, because you don't. If you're messing up so much that people can see through it, and then eventually you think, well, we might end up having to take the blame for this. And you saw what they were willing to do to Muslims after we'd killed 3,000 people on 9/11, of his own people on 9/11. It's much easier for us to say, oh, no, well, that was just an exercise, I'm sorry, and we're really sorry about that, and yada, yada, yada. And plus, killing people, it's bad, it's hard. It really is hard. I mean, you've got to have so many...
It's not you put a big bomb there, it's not, is it? I mean, let's be honest. There's no reason for crisis actors. It makes absolutely no sense. If I'm a megalomaniac, psycho killer who's willing to kill civilians, I'd want to plant the biggest bomb I could somewhere, get some idiot to do it for me.
And you're talking...
Kill lots of people and you get what you want. Sorry?
We get a lot of... You can have a bomb like the Oklahoma City bomb, but still have the crisis actors afterwards for the interviews and things like that. 9/11, there was obviously something happened to those buildings there, yet the people who they were interviewing, you had one fella talking about planes reaming straight through a concrete and steel building. He witnessed that. Have you ever seen a seagull hit an airplane?
So you don't think planes went into the building?
No, listen. He's called. I'm not. It don't matter what you think, what you believe. Those buildings are gone. They're not there anymore. Yeah. Right? They fell down. And people died. We completely understand that. But what he's talking about, I know the guy you're talking about, Paul. He's called Harley Guy. They called him Harley Guy because he had a Harley Davidson T-shirt on. Now this guy comes in and he talks and he says, and he doesn't say. And then I saw this plane went over like that. What he says is, I witnessed the plane, and then I witnessed it going into the building, and then I witnessed the building falling down, mostly due to structural failure. Right, so he's gathered all that information in a short space of time, and by the language he's using, you can see he's an actor. He's crisis acting. It's not. He's not describing something that he's seen. He's describing. He's reading a script.
Just going back to the 7/7, Jimmy, the bit that I was talking about, the 4 bombers all met at Luton train station. They had to catch the 20-8 train that morning in order to be in London and catch the other transports in time for all the explosions. But the 20-8 train was cancelled, and they still, the mainstream and the establishment still have that in their narrative. But it's already been documented that train was cancelled. So those people didn't make it to London in time for those trains to be blown up. And there was 2 bombers, 2 whatever you want to call them, but there's 2 people killed in Canary Wharf that day, shot dead. That was a lie.
All I'm saying is, mate, I do not see any reason anybody would need crisis actors. You just plant a massive bomb, you just blow up 50, 60 people, you'll get loads of people injured, and then you can rush around the hospitals, getting interviews with all the relatives, saying, "Oh yeah, poor Johnny's got his legs blown off or whatever." You could cause enough carnage. You don't need crisis actors. To me, it's just another level of. It just doesn't make sense whatsoever.
No, I know where you're coming from, man.
I get what you're saying, Jimmy, but it's called controlling the narrative. There's going to be too much anomaly.
The more damage they can do to people. For example, Manchester bombing. Yeah, the Manchester bombing. Was there any crisis actors involved in that?
I haven't looked into the Manchester bombing too much, you know.
Well,
do you know anyone who was actually injured in it or killed in it? You know,
there have been crisis actors. Sandy Hook, there was crisis actors left, right, and centre.
No, that guy. What's that guy called? Alex Jones. He got sued because he says people were crisis actors, and he had to go to court. And he admitted that he just.
Mate, Alex Jones is a gatekeeper. He would have done that to create that case law. I interviewed Wolfgang Albig, who was, you'd have to look into what Wolfgang did. He was a school security expert, and he gave testimony. He's been fighting them in court forever. He's been fighting them in court since it happened. And all he did was ask questions, and they went after him.
And that's why you never heard about him.
I'll tell you, Jim, with your analytical mind, it's easy for you to sit there and shake your head when you've not looked into this stuff, that you admit yourself. It
doesn't make any logical sense. You don't need crisis.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter until you go and look at it. You're going to sit there and go, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Go and look.
But what doesn't make any logical sense is people going out on a weekend, going into a place and shoving what is essentially a poison down the throat until they can't really stand up. I mean, that makes no logical sense, does it? Can't use that.
That's a Friday night.
I mean, what happens if one of these crisis actors decided to blow the whistle and came out with all his evidence?
Look,
why don't they?
There's just for as far as I can see, you're so far married to this. I don't get what they will get out of it. I don't get why they'd use crisis actors and not just blow people up. I think you're so married to that there's no we could say that would ever do anything. So I think it's like a bit of a moot point. You know,
I think if he saw more information, he would, because.
If you found somebody who was a crisis actor who came out and said, I was a crisis actor and showed me evidence, and you had somebody a whistleblower, then I might believe it. Until I have a whistleblower.
Why do we have to provide it for you? Why do we have to provide it for you? Why don't you go
making a claim? If you're making a claim, you have to provide evidence. Why don't you go
looking for it yourself, and then you might find something that you actually that does you some benefit. Rather than, why do we have to provide it for you? I mean,
you're making the claim. If you're making a claim, you're supposed to provide evidence for a claim.
But we're not making claims. We're putting theories. We're theorizing.
I could show you stuff that would give you that theory for you to look at if you want, Jim.
I'm theorizing that it makes absolutely no sense to have crisis actors when you can just plant a big bomb and blow up 50, 60 people and get loads of injured people, and you'll get loads of hatred. You'll get all that hatred that you're after.
Yeah, but when you push these certain agendas or certain, or some of these, sell out these school shootings and whatnot, you're trying to push like a new gun control law in or whatever. Then why would you not put a crisis actor into the mix?
Yeah, he was one of the most famous crisis actors, wasn't he? That David, somebody who was at the shooting, he rode his fucking bike to the fucking school where the shooting had been as well.
Yeah.
He was involved in promoting it on the news.
But with some of them though, like it's like an episode of Coronation Street acting. It's not bad.
It's not even that. It's not even Coronation Street quality. And I've been watching. Believe me, I've been watching because I've been. How people are moaning that they're going to be locked up in their houses. I've been sat in my house for 2 years because my legs have been knackering me up. One's gone, and other one nearly tried to go last year. So I've been sat in for 2 years, and I've been watching old classic Coronation Street, and I fucking loved it. Reg Holdsworth on it, and fucking Fred Elliott's just come in. Wow. It's on ITV3.
You know what I've been watching when I've been isolating myself? South Park. I'm starting watching South Park right from the beginning.
Yeah.
I love South Park.
You and your chocolate salty balls.
Oh yeah, I actually watched that episode yesterday.
No, I'm a bit of a gamer, me, in my spare time, lads.
Ah,
Bit of gaming and some couple of movies and that, and I'm good. I don't watch TV or anything like that. But I'm a member of the PC master race when it comes to gaming these days.
No, it's beyond me, the gaming stuff. Bit of FIFA, play a bit of FIFA, but that's it. Anyway, lads, we've done 2 hours. We were only going to do an hour, but there's a lot to. There's still a lot we haven't touched on, and I think it's been. I think the dynamic's been really good for people who have got all different versions, different angles, and passionate about this. It's good that we can sit here and we can talk and we can disagree. We've got to disagree in order to find out what the truth is. We don't come on here and sit in a Batari box and think everything, you pat me on the back, I'll pat you on the back. It's not about that. It's about asking questions. It's about looking at new information. But I've enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah, definitely, man. Definitely.
Oh, yeah.
And I hopefully you can all come back. Me and Jimmy are hopefully going to be doing this on a regular basis, especially as things are kicking off like this is now.
Yeah,
there's always something happening, isn't there?
There is every fucking day, Jim. Every day there is something massive happen.
Oh, wow.
And it's just going to keep going that way. Clarkey, before we go, tell everybody where they can find your gig, man.
Well, I'm over at youtube.com /The Urban Collective. We film it, and just Facebook, The Urban Collective. Got over 100 odd videos done. As you were just saying about your Connie then, Jason, we actually did the post-apocalyptic Granada TV studios, Coronation Street, set a year or 2 ago, so you might want to check that out, mate. I actually got chased off security and had to jib through Jack Duckworth's window.
That's a good story.
Hey, I'm telling you, that's something I never would thought would materialise in my lifetime. You know what I mean?
Brilliant.
Yes, Blazing Stars, YouTube, mate. The Urban Collective. Sorry,
yes,
dude.
man. No worries. Thanks to everybody in the chat room. Go on. What were you going to say then, Clark?
No, I can't link. Give him a link if you can, Paul, for YouTube. For me, YouTube, if you can, brother. Well, it's just type in The Urban Collective and you see the logo that's on the screen now, the little black and red gas mask, mate.
Can I tell you who I've got on my show this week?
Yeah, of course you can, mate. I've not got to you yet.
Oh, for you went wrong. Right, well,
here's me trying to be a host, but never mind. You crack on, lad.
Bugger off. Yeah, well, join it tonight. Tomorrow night from 8 o'clock. We've got Jason Green coming on. He's the guy who created the Facebook page False Flag and Media Hoaxes, which has suddenly exploded in the last couple of weeks, and we're going to be talking about that, and of course the coronavirus as usual. And on Tuesday I got Mark Conlon. We were going to be talking about a paper that is written on Flight 93, but I don't know if current events are going to overtake that. But that's what we were going to be talking about, and we probably will get into it a little bit. He's written a paper on Flight 93, and he's written a paper on Flight 11 as well. So that's Mark Conlon on Tuesday at 8 o'clock. Cheers, Webby. Thanks, mate.
Quality.
Good stuff, man. Jimmy,
you'll have to send me your 2 details, lads, before I go. If you if you do your own stuff and that,
Yeah, Jim, have you got anything in the pipeline lined up for this week apart from
just bunkering down, mate? Hoping I survive this crisis.
Are we not looking for a LobbyGobbler video this week?
Can't do much filming outside, can I? Can't do much filming outside.
Listen, one of my mates, he said he went on a pub crawl over the weekend. He put beer in every room of his house. So he started off in the living room, went to the kitchen, went to the bathroom, went to the bedroom. He said I was pissed as a cunt by the time I got back to the living
room. I hope he finished up in fucking bathroom. Otherwise,
He only saw me go as far as the living room and then got pissed. But anyway, if we can swap the details afterwards. You'll find Jason Clarkey on Racoon's News, what I used to host with him. So that's Jason's stuff, Racoon's News. Jimmy's stuff. He's only done a few videos at the minute, Jim. But he's under the LobbyGobbler. Have you actually seen the other LobbyGobbler that's on YouTube, Jimmy?
Sorry.
Have you seen the other? There's a LobbyGobbler that's done a video on YouTube where he's a lather and he sings. He sings on his own.
Oh.
Mate, I'll send you the link. I'll send you the link because I think we know him. I'll
have to look it up, see if I can find him. All right, Paul. Anyway, thanks for having us on.
Yeah, cheers, guys.
Yeah, good to meet you, lads. Nice one. Nice one for everyone who watched as well. Take it easy, man.
Catch you later,
thanks
guys.
everybody in the chat room, and thanks for everybody watching. We'll see you soon. This is the Webster Report. Tory to what?
Peace out, man.